Pardon, merhaba. Aracınız çok güzelmiş de ne iş yapıyorsunuz?
He didn't ride in on a Harley. He walked in through the back door of a nightclub and never left the shadows again. From bouncing drunk customers out of nightclubs in Cologne, to running some of Europe's most dangerous criminal operations, to leading the Turkish chapter of the infamous Hells Angels motorcycle club. This is the real story of Necati Arabaci, a man who turned the nightlife underworld into his empire. Born on February 14, 1972 in Cologne, Germany, began his journey in the city's vibrant nightlife as a bouncer. His confident attitude and strategic mind quickly pushed him into the upper levels of Cologne's red light district. Over time, Arabaci transitioned from managing nightclubs to becoming a significant figure in the Hells Angels motorcycle club, influencing operations across Europe. Early life and entry into organized crime. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, he was surrounded by a mix of cultures, street life, and the constant pressure of finding success in a foreign land. He didn't follow a traditional path. School held little interest for him, and he found himself drawn to the streets early on. In the 1990s, he started working as a bouncer at nightclubs in Cologne, a job that would unexpectedly open the door to much bigger things. Arabaci wasn't just a tough guy at the door. He was smart, calculating, and quickly figured out how the nightlife business really worked. He gained the trust of club owners and criminals alike, eventually positioning himself at the center of Cologne's red light scene. By the late 1990s, he had taken control of several establishments, including brothels in cities like Leverkusen and Elsdorf, becoming a key player in the region's underground economy. His dominance in the scene earned him a reputation and a nickname, the Godfather of Cologne. But for Arabaci, this was only the foundation. His real rise began when he aligned with one of the most feared organizations in the world, the Hells Angels motorcycle club. His street-earned power, financial muscle, and no-nonsense leadership made him an asset. But Arabaci didn't follow. He joined to lead. And it wouldn't be long before he transformed a regional chapter in Turkey into a force powerful enough to challenge the Hells Angels' old guard across Europe.
Dennis Ilbay, ich gratuliere dir zum Kampf zu deinem Titel. Dein Vater ist der beste Coach.
Legal troubles and incarceration. By the early 2000s, Necati Arabaci's empire had grown too large to ignore. In 2002, German authorities finally made their move, arresting him on a long list of serious charges: pimping, human trafficking, assault, extortion, and weapons violations. The investigation revealed that Arabaci was not just running brothels. He was controlling the women who worked in them, using threats and violence to maintain dominance. In 2004, he stood trial, and under growing pressure, he confessed to many of the charges brought against him. The court sentenced him to 9 years in prison, hoping that would finally put an end to his influence. But even behind bars, Arabaci seemed untouchable. Reports surfaced that he was still managing his empire from inside the prison walls, including the operation of the Colosseum brothel in Augsburg. Even more shocking were the accusations that Arabaci had planned to have the lead prosecutor on his case assassinated. Authorities claimed he used coded messages to communicate with the outside world. However, due to serious translation errors in the wiretap transcripts, he was acquitted of that specific charge. His time in prison only seemed to solidify his image as a criminal mastermind who could not be easily silenced. Deportation and continued influence. In 2007, after serving part of his prison sentence, Necati Arabaci was released from custody in Germany, but his story didn't end there. Due to his Turkish citizenship, German authorities deported him to Turkey immediately after his release. For many criminals, this would have meant the end of their power. But for Arabaci, it was just a change of location. Settling in Turkey, he quickly re-established control and maintained tight connections to his criminal networks back in Germany and across Europe. He continued managing his business interests from abroad, especially in areas like real estate and nightlife. His reputation had only grown while he was behind bars, and many saw him as a rising figure in the transnational crime world. Necati Arabaci didn't just join the Hells Angels, he climbed its ranks with ruthless accuracy. Known for his organizational skill and fearlessness, he built the Nomads Turkey chapter from the ground up, transforming it into a powerful and respected branch within the club. His leadership style was feared and admired, and it wasn't long before his name was mentioned, alongside the most powerful figures in the Hells Angels world.
Şerefsiz Çocuklar kardeşime selamlar. Yozgat Sarıkaya selamlar, saygılar.
Internal conflicts within the Hells Angels. Arabaci's rise through the Hells Angels ranks didn't come without resistance. As he gained more power, especially with the formation of the Nomads Turkey chapter, tensions grew between him and other senior members of the club. One of his biggest rivals was Walter B., also known as Schnitzel Walter, the longtime boss of the German Hells Angels. The two men had very different visions for the organization, and neither was willing to back down. Their rivalry wasn't just about personality. It was a battle for territory, control, and influence across Europe. Arabaci, who led a group made up mostly of Turkish members, began challenging the authority of the traditional German leadership. The power struggle increased over time, creating major cracks inside the club. Things reached a boiling point in 2014, when a violent face-off broke out at a Hells Angels meeting in Frankfurt. Gunfire erupted. Several members were injured, and the event made headlines across the country. This incident confirmed what many already suspected. Arabaci's group was no longer just a side group. It was now a real force inside the Hells Angels, capable of reshaping its future. International expansion and legal challenges. After solidifying his leadership in Turkey, Necati Arabaci expanded his reach beyond borders. He played a key role in helping the Hells Angels grow across Europe, especially in regions where the club was still trying to establish dominance. His influence extended into countries like Spain, the Netherlands, and parts of Eastern Europe, where authorities believed he was involved in drug trafficking, extortion, and managing brothels. Arabaci's growing empire didn't go unnoticed by international law enforcement. In 2015, Spanish authorities issued a European Union-wide arrest warrant for him, accusing him of being part of a criminal organization, drug trafficking, and carrying out extortion schemes. He was considered one of the most dangerous underworld figures operating in and out of Spain. However, Turkish law offered Arabaci a form of protection because he held Turkish citizenship. The government refused to deport him to any other country. This legal barrier allowed him to avoid prosecution and continue running operations with relative safety from within Turkey. Law enforcement agencies across Europe expressed frustration, calling him untouchable. Still, Arabaci maintained a low public profile, using his network to manage criminal activities while staying just out of reach.
İlyas Cankalı, mein Freund, ich drücke die Daumen und wünsche dir viel Erfolg bei deinem Kampf.
Financial empire. Despite his reputation as a hardened criminal, Necati Arabaci proved to be just as sharp in business as he was in the streets. Over the years, he built a vast financial empire that extended beyond illegal enterprises. In the early 2000s, his net worth was estimated at around $5 million, largely earned through brothel operations, extortion rackets, and nightclub control in Germany. But by 2024, estimates put his fortune at over $70 million, a dramatic increase that showed just how well he had adapted his methods. Sources suggest that Arabaci began investing heavily in real estate, particularly in Turkey's tourist regions, where beachfront properties and luxury developments offered both profit and secrecy. He also channeled money into offshore accounts and businesses that made it harder for authorities to trace. Despite frequent attention from law enforcement, Arabaci maintained a strong financial position by keeping his name off company records and using trusted associates as fronts. His empire wasn't just about wealth, it was about power. Controlling millions gave him influence, protection, and the ability to buy loyalty wherever he needed it. Even without appearing in public often, Arabaci's money worked for him in silence, allowing him to operate like a CEO of a global underworld corporation. Life in Monaco and public perception. In recent years, Necati Arabaci has been spotted in Monaco, one of the world's wealthiest and most exclusive locations. His presence there sparked public curiosity, especially considering his past as a notorious figure in Europe's criminal underworld. Many were surprised to see him blending into the luxury lifestyle of the rich and powerful, far from the tough streets where he started. His appearance in Monaco raised serious questions about how figures like him managed to avoid justice despite being wanted in several countries. To some, he's a ghost the law can't catch. To others, he's living proof of how crime and wealth can go hand in hand when power protects you. Necati Arabaci's journey from a nightclub bouncer to a high-ranking Hells Angels leader illustrates the complexities of organized crime and its intersection with legal enterprises. His ability to navigate different cultures, exploit legal loopholes, and maintain influence across borders underscores the challenges law enforcement faces in combating international crime. Arabaci's story serves as a cautionary tale about the attraction of power and the far-reaching consequences of a life deeply rooted in criminality. If you found this story as shocking and fascinating as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive into the hidden world of power, crime, and influence. Got a story you want us to uncover next? Drop it in the comments below. We're just getting started.